On! Okay, so we're just gonna fall in with the door, as they say. I was nasty yesterday, but I do feel it's a little awkward. It's such a weird way to start your story, with this massive power imbalance. I mean, admittedly, you know, they're not being weird with it. I'm the one being weird, if anything. But it's still something where I feel a little bit like, you sure, buddy? You sure about that, buddy? But again, that's exactly why I would never write it, and therefore someone else has got to do it, no matter what. And that's the real glory of eating a whole grain banana. Oh. Dang. Alright, I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go, everyone? Please take off your handbrakes. We are initializing the stream. The days go by in Chapter 5 to fight. Because Anon, after saying I'm a big fat crybaby, has realized maybe I shouldn't be a big fat crybaby, and now he is anti-crybaby man. It was a process for Olivia to get attuned to her new home, but Edward and Joan were patient and understanding. Slowly but surely, Olivia began to shed the shell of sorrow that the death of her parents had created. I was an asshole, by the way, in terms of tone. Like, I just wrecked the tone of being a jackass. Again, kind of the risk of being first stream. But it's got me reading, and I was willing to go for the side today, so that's how you know it's good. Or at least interesting. And you know, media that sticks with you is a hell of a lot better than boring media. Because that's the point of media, is to be interesting. Little cracks began to show, such as eating at the... What do you mean cracks? Oh, the shell, okay. They really love talking about Olivia's wall in Wanting. Little cracks began... Again, that's a new sentence. Please. Little cracks began to show, such as eating at the table, showing Mom and Dad glimpses of what she was drawing, and even conversing with them. She even began joining for movie nights, sitting on the side of the couch to use the desk to draw. By the time the movie was finished, Olivia would have an entire page. This song is a little too energetic for how descriptive this scene is. That's rocking it. Fuck it, we'll go with this. By the time the movie was finished, Olivia would have an entire page filled with drawings related to the movie we just watched. Now, the best part of the movie night was watching Olivia's gold gray eyes light up. Nah, he's not calling them silver. Anna, you are no Inco. You will never get to the bottom of her heart like a Tootsie Pop like that. And snout curve into a smile when Mom, Dad, and I try to pick out what drawing of her was supposed to reference what. How many times are we getting snout today? 19 times. I mean, it's a long chapter or so. As for kindergarten, that's where I helped. Or if anything, it's where Olivia helped me to deal with the endless boredom I'd felt before. Where the other kids at this time were loud and kind of obnoxious, Olivia was quiet and calm, usually using her free time to draw. So we pretty much kept each other company throughout the rest of the year. Although my drawing wasn't improving by much in the artistic skill. I mean, drawing is probably the better term, but it just seems so weird. It's like calling someone a drawer. My drawings weren't improving by much, and I was getting a lot less disgusting snorts from her and a lot more happy giggles. That's a win in my book. But now the real test came. First grade. My own first grade experience was miserable, being the only human in class, maybe the target for ridicule and bullying in mostly dino schools that my parents sent me to. Hopefully things will be a bit different this time around. I look at Olivia as we sit in the car, briefly scanning her face. Her snout closed in thought as we park by the school gate, already filled with a technicolored crowd of young dinos. Hey, this time you're a dinosaur, buddy. You ain't the outsider no more. We came to a full stop before Mom let us out. Olivia and I excited to separate from... excited? We came to a full stop before Mom let us out. Olivia and I exited from separate sides of the car. Why would you describe that? That doesn't feel that relevant, all things considered. Unless you're supposed to create... Oh, they're divided. But so far, it's kind of mellow yellow, so... You both have your backpacks? Mom asks. Olivia and I nod in response. And your lunchboxes? I show off the middle box in my claw, Olivia slowly following the example by doing the same. Oh, first day of first grade. Are you both excited? I open my mouth to speak, only for Olivia to answer. Again, why does Anon call the snout? Wouldn't he be using mouth terms? He's a human. No. Oh, and don't worry. Olivia might only be 3 to 4 years old, 5 years old, whatever, but she is a chain smoker at heart. Aww. My mom doesn't let that answer dissuade her. It'll be fun. Well, I was going to give him more neutrons than before, but I decided to play along with it. Mom escorts us briefly to the gate, where a bunch of other dinos are getting dropped off by their parents. It's everyone's first date. Joanne smiles as she stoops down. You mean like crouches, squats, or leans? Stoops feels so negative. It's like a weirdly negative term in a neutral activity. Stoops down to give me a hug before pausing at Olivia, offering one as well. After a second or so, Olivia accepts, opening her arms out as Mom hugs her for a few seconds before separating, gently clutching the baryonyx's shoulders before separating. You know, I just want to point this out. Good that Anon is like a grown adult in a baby body, because if he was a normal kid, he would be so fucking salty how much air Olivia is just sucking out of the room she's in. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but the maturity required for him to be okay with his parents not caring about him that much, because there are really moments where it feels like they care a lot more about Olivia than anyone else, which makes sense. Olivia's in a bad spot. But on the other hand, you know, if he was a kid, he wouldn't get that. Like, he shows insane maturity, if anything. Today I learned Snoot Game Encore is having a demo without Spanish in it. I mean, considering apparently like half the community is Spanish, from what I can tell, that's a funny move to make. Not a haha funny move, though. Have a good day at school, you two. Will do, I answer this time. Mom giving one last encouraging nod before returning to the car, waving from the driver's seat. She's not the kind of mom to stick around for 15 years. We wave back. I said it right. We wave back before watching her leave, turning back to face the gate again. Although this was the same school Olivia had been going to for kindergarten, Mesozoic private. Now we may as well be on a different campus entirely. The main body of the school was a large ornate building with fields and basketball courts at the back of it. Well, duh. Elementary, middle, and high school were on separate rings, with the elementary school being the leftmost. As you progress, everyone knows that in platformers you go from left to right. Even in school, you go from left to right. You can't ratchet backwards, buddy. Only forwards. Failing a grade is like dying. You have to go all over again if you want to go right. I peer at Olivia, the baryonyx peering back at me. It was hard to tell what she was thinking, but I could kind of tell what she needed. You know, some reassurance. Oh, don't worry. My snout curves into a grin. First grade is just kindergarten, but with extra steps. I slug my bag over my shoulder. Anon, you are not strong enough to slug anything. And if anything goes wrong, we'll be together. Olivia pauses slowly before nodding, a small smile growing on a snout. With that, we both walked through the gate. Unfortunately, I was pretty accurate in my assessment. Grade 1 still had the immaturity of children arriving from kindergarten, but now with the beginning rigors of school life injected within, Olivia and I arrive at an already chaotic class, more than half of the desks already filled, as we briefly look around and find 2 chairs, side by side at the edge of the room. I guide Olivia as we sit beside each other. I'm not absorbing anything. Like, the, can't be good. That can't be good. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, thank God it was that load. Oh. Oh, God. Getting the... That's there. I have no clue what I'm doing. Let's take out a nice chill song, because I need something that's nice and mellow yellow. Skin Russell? It's simple enough. A little dramatic for kindergarten, but hey! Olivia and I arrive in an already chaotic class, more than half the desks already filled, as we briefly look around to find 2 chairs, side by side at the edge of the room. That's an odd sentence, that you already found them, buddy. I guide Olivia as we sit beside each other, ducking underneath a paper airplane and peering around, both of us taken aback by the disorder and disarray, which only grew with every student arriving. The classroom door opens again. This time, it's an adult, and clearly the teacher of the class. A few of the students... listen, Anon, I'm okay with you considering them your mom and dad, but your class? You are an adult, Anon. Don't even pretend this is your class. This is her class, this is their class, this is the class, but it's not your class. You fucking weirdo. Although, I guess, technically. And that's the best kind of correct, I've been told by lawyers. A few of the students notice and grow silent as she enters with a mug in her claw. She is a beautiful... Jesus, Anon, you're a baby. Please stop. Do not describe anyone in such terms. He literally cannot win, right? If he describes someone that's older than him, it's creepy. If he describes someone his age, it's still creepy. That's why you don't do those kinds of age shifts. Because it's usually where the fetishes hide. The bad kind. The weird kind. The lolly that's 1,000-year-old... I guess Anon technically is, isn't he? He is the 1,000-year-old lolly, except... he's just 18. At this point, 23. And I will not stop mentioning how old Anon is in reality. I'm willing to cut like 3 to 4 years because, you know, you don't remember any of this stuff, but... Man's, if he doesn't pass this with flying colors, I'm gonna laugh, and I will not stop until Anon is just... Jesus, Anon. It's basic addition. How did you fail first grade? Anon, how did you fail first grade? You know calculus! Although, to be honest, I've been told that if you become a really good mathematician, apparently calculus just overtakes your math brain, and you're like, you overcomplicate things or something. I don't fucking know. It's like carpentry. You can't hit a nail into a board anymore because you've been using fancy machines so much. You're like, oh, I gotta make this a dovetail. I've gotta make a dovetail, and then I gotta... She was a beautiful grayish scaled raptor with sharp eyes, as well as black and brunette flicked hair. Flicked? I think flecked is the word he's looking for. That curved to the front. I mean, hair generally hangs unless you just gel and style it. Her clothing was an old-timey pink Chanel suit, and her orange eyes are scanning the classroom as she approached, placing the mug on her desk, tail showing cream-colored striped spots. Interesting. So what you're saying is she should have worked in an office. Suddenly, the silence spread to the rest of the class. A few dumb stares on the dino boys, indicating a lot of kitty crushes being developed. They're allowed to, Anon. You are not. If only because she's your teacher, man. Come on. The power dynamic isn't healthy. Until she spoke. Alright, class. Welcome. God, it should have been... They gotta invoke Mrs. Roberts at some point, okay? Like, if you're going into the past, the least you can do is show us young Roberts. It's just part of the... It's just, you know... If you go into the past, you gotta show baby Principal Spears. You have to show him. It's like, no, but Anon, he's like 30 to 40 years old in the game. 20 years ago, he'd still be... No, I want... I want him to be irrationally young for no good reason. Don't explain anything. It just happens. Also, just to point out, Anon was born in 2001, and I pointed out 2007 is when the iPhone releases. His mother had a flip phone in like 2006. Man, time goes fast. Also, weren't brick phones more common around that era? Until she spoke. All right, class, welcome to. All right, class, welcome to your first grade. Possibly the most masculine voice came out of her. Hey, I gotta ride the Frisco. And not a single kid in the room had expected that voice to come from that body. I stared in disbelief. Olivia beside me raising an eyebrow with a straight face. And before you ask, yes, this is my voice thanks to a smoking addiction I had back in '89. Holy shit, she's old. She explained as her eyes scanned the class. Actually, by this point, she'd be like 13 years older than that. No, 16. So she was 16 back then. She's 32-ish. Yeah, she can be pretty young. Her eyes scanned the class, taking note of our traumatized faces. So let this be a lesson to you kids to never smoke, it's bad for you. She then turned to the whiteboard. You don't use chalk on a whiteboard, you use chalk on a blackboard, because chalk is white, and you can't see it on a whiteboard, even if it would rub off on the stuff. And it's meant for markers. The name is Mrs. Produce, but you can call me Mrs. P. And if any one of you make any pee-pee jokes, or how I need to pee really bad, or how the pee is silent, oh, you're gonna find out how deep the garbage can really goes, buddies. Any questions before we get started? A student raises his claw. Is it about my voice? He nods. I ain't taking that then. The claw then lowers. Mrs. Projas is... What a name, Projas. Then looks to the rest of the class. Alright, we're gonna be doing a little fun activity to introduce us to each other. I call it cocaine. I'll be making lines of 4. So get into groups of 4, kids. Unless you want to share your lines. I didn't have a teacher just looking. Teacher, isn't cocaine gonna make us even worse than we already are? Oh, listen, kid, I'm all ready for that. I can handle a couple of coked up elementary school kids. Oh, And then she takes out the estrus season taser. Because she knows what she's doing. She's establishing the pecking order. Coking up the kids. Oh. My eyes roll right towards Olivia. And as to mine, our selection is pretty much routine whenever group activities break out in kindergarten. With 2 members out of the 4 already decided, I noticed that the kids around us had already formed, leaving no potential members to be found. Let's look for 2 more for the group. Let's look for 2 more for the group, I say as I clamber out of my seat, Olivia nodding as she follows. We moved across the classroom together, heads scanning for any ungrouped students before Olivia tapped my shoulders. Over there, Musera, she told me, subtly pointing to a lone student, my eyes blinking to make sure I wasn't seeing things. She looks lonely. It was a human girl with black hair and dark eyes, her skin on the paler side as she scanned the classroom, with a hint of saddened anxiety. Well, she's nervous and all. With just a look, I could tell she felt alone, and from my experience, I knew it was going to remain that way when it came to attending dino-filled school. Oh, it's Nona. Anon, don't talk like that about your gender-swapped self. That's mean. Not unless Olivia and I had something to say about it. Alright, Anon, this is the part where you grab your belt and you pull up those britches, and you get ready to man up. I turned my head, a smile curving my snout. Let's go change that. Olivia nods, returning her own smile as we both approach. Hold on. There is exactly 1 song that's legally allowed here. They are those other 2 weirdos. Hey, I ask. Wanna join our group? Pausing for a moment, the girl then nods vigorously. The offer already working wonders on her attitude. Yeah. She climbs off the chair as I cup a claw beneath the end of my snout and thought. Now all we need is 1 more and we're... Hello? The 3 of us turn to see a light-scaled Allosaurus with regular blonde hair, 2 ridges over his snout and forehead while his tail rested atop the floor. A nervous look could be seen on his snout. You said snout 2 sentences in a row. I'm going to start deducting points. As if unsure what we were going to say. Can I join? Sure, I welcome. Olivia and the human nodding as we take in our newest member, just in time for Miss Projas to call out. Any kids without groups can come to the front, I'll put you together. She then looked at the class. The rest of you start talking to each other. Tell each other your names, your hobbies, anything. Just as long as you think, just so long as the time you get up there, you can tell the rest of the class about your fellow group mates. And if you fail at this assignment, oh boy, you kids should be glad that I'm not allowed to use the taser anymore. And put your hand out, please. Anungus! Gosh. There we go! It's Anungus. It's coming back. With that sudden task in our minds, the 4 of us look at each other, using the moment to speak up first. Hey, I'm Anonogus. Which apparently is sort of sound like anonymous still. Anonogus. Ananagus. But that sounds like analogous, which is not the same. I pause for a moment. I like watching movies, I decided. As after all, movie night is a time I enjoy a lot. What about you two? I ask. What about you? I ask, referring to the human girl. Oh, yeah. Domaret? Is that a pun? She straightened herself. My name is Domaret. I like fashion. Doe said the word as if just having learned it recently, turning her head to the Allosaurus. My name is Morgan Jack, and I like... He then paused, nose closed, as he seemed to gulp, tail grinding against the floor. Dino nuggies? I offered in case I was having trouble coming up with a clear idea. Warden flicking his head to me as he smiled in relief, a sharp smile poking the sides of his snout as if suddenly hungry. You can say face, you can say muzzle, you can say snoot, you can say cheeks, you can say lips. Why is it always snout? Yeah, Dino nuggies. The Allosaur excitedly agreed. Dino nuggies? Doe asked, as if suddenly activated by those 2 words. Oh, the T-Rex one tastes the best. No. Just the raptor-shaped ones that do. I turned, surprised to see that Olivia was the one who had said that. Not only had the young baryonyx actually entered the conversation for once, but she had done it to openly disagree. As soon as I noticed that Olivia had suddenly tipped. Yet as soon as I noticed that, Olivia suddenly looked taken aback at the sudden attention upon her, gold grey eyes briefly catching mine as if asking for a go-ahead. I simply gave her a warm smile, knowing that I didn't have to make that decision for her. Like, I imagine the guy who's uploading this at some point noticed that, like, you know, all these blank spaces are just ruining the flow of your story. Especially if you're reading this vertically. Half your screen is just nothing. So much more thumb scrolling. Oh, my thumb is getting tired just looking at this. Olivia would have to make... I simply gave her a warm smile, knowing that I didn't have to make the decision for her. Olivia would have to come to the right decision on her own. The baryonyx paused before looking forward, opening her snout. Olivia, she simply said, drawing. She then looked away, finding it all a lot more interesting all of a sudden. Well, at least Olivia made the right choice to engage conversation. Just not a lot of effort on her behalf was put on it. For now, at least. With all of us knowing something of each other, we moved to the front, ready to present.